Welcome to my summary of learning for ECNI 834. I'm doing a screencast here of the notes that I actually took during our Tuesday night synchronous sessions on Zoom. So the first night we got to know each other a little bit with some cool hashtags and using Padlet, a fun digital bulletin board where you can share information. We talked a lot about assignment and expectations that night as well. I'm sure everyone was feeling a bit overwhelmed, but we made it through. Second week of class, looking at copywriting and the Berne Convention. Creative Commons came up several times throughout the semester. Reclaim hosting was introduced, and just the notion of creating your own URL, maybe for your whole family, for your children, to leave that digital legacy of all of the work that you do. And this is especially relevant for people who are studying educational technology or similar fields. Twoosh, that was just a side note. 0 characters remaining in a tweet. I edit tweets all the time to get them to that maximum level because I'm always way over. Here's a great spectrum that shows sort of the difference between no technology and full technology. All these things that go in the middle are what we were looking at during this whole course. So face-to-face classroom aids, flipped classrooms, hybrid, fully online. And I think we got to explore those especially with our prototypes that we developed. Tony Bates, his open resource available through the UBC was fantastic. What an excellent resource for us throughout the whole class. Storify, I haven't tried it, but it's a great way to curate Twitter. If you get a collection of exciting tweets that you want to keep somewhere and kind of put them together into a little story. Blended learning, basic premise for the entire course. Big issues with this or notions to consider: accessibility, connectivity, and collaboration. These do not just happen. Some people think you throw technology into a classroom and miraculously the students are engaged and they're learning and they're connecting to content. That is not true. There is a lot of teacher training and thought that must go into using technology in the classroom properly. This is where the SAMR model comes into play. So having a look at that can help you determine whether or not you're using technology in the right way. UDL, Universal Design for Learning, that was a new concept for me. Basically the idea that all students can benefit from different assistive technologies and educational technology tools. We shouldn't limit ourselves, and we certainly don't want that stigma associated with having to use audio resources or having to use larger print or any of those tools that we sometimes do for students who may have special needs. Those kinds of things can really benefit everyone, and it's beneficial for all of us to have access to those. So more about blended learning. We read a couple of articles early on that really stuck with me. One is by Stephen Downes, and Stephen spoke about the difference between personalized learning and personal learning. He gave a great grocery store analogy that I recorded. Here it is in my notes. You can't really read it, but he described personalized learning, as like ordering from a menu at a restaurant where the teacher can't possibly cater to everyone's tastes and interests. And in the end, you don't really learn how to cook in doing that. Personal learning, on the other hand, it's kind of a learning, a means to an end, basically. So it's more like shopping at a grocery store. You, the learner, choose the ingredients, you go through the process of cooking it, and then you get to sit down and enjoy the outcome or the product of your efforts. Another article we read early on that I liked a lot, 2 authors came together to dispel the myth that there is no significant difference when educational technology is used in a classroom. I'm sorry this isn't very clear for you to read, but the key points that they touched on had to do with these 5 notions: motivation, opportunities, active process, interaction with others, and ability to transfer learning. They showed in each case how technology can actually help each of these things come to fruition in a classroom. The key thing they pointed out, though, is that you cannot just add technology without changing the pedagogy behind it. So I want to talk about 2 examples I used where technology did make a difference in my classroom. One was in allowing my grade 11s to use My Simple Show and the voice that comes with My Simple Show to present their law criminal cases rather than having to record their own voices or speak in front of the class. They did extremely well with it. The information was transferred. I know they had a great learning experience from that, and without all the nervousness that comes with those presentations in front of students. The other example is the flipped classroom that my colleague Ashley uses. Students learn the lesson through video at home, and then they come to class and they work on the questions with Ashley right there to help them with classmates right nearby if they need a little bit of assistance with something. What a brilliant model. I had never heard of that until I started with the ECNI 833, 834 classes. So this is just a little bit more about thinking about how you'll assess and instruct students in the project that we did, the main prototype. So just again, flipping through my notebook, these are things that are not so familiar to me. I haven't really used podcasts or looked at the Vlogbrothers. I know that there are options out there. They just take time to explore, but I certainly will do that next year. Personal learning, again, this was the topic of Stephen Downs' article. So we were looking at finding student passion, and basically curriculum is not what you're seeking, and you're not concerned as much about specific competencies. The competencies are determined in advance, but the path to reach them isn't. So this is where the students get to build or construct their own understanding with the teacher there to guide them. LMS, new term for me this year, Learning Management System, now better known as a course environment, apparently. Some other options are, besides the Google Classroom, which is maybe the best known, Moodle, Brightspace, Blackboard. Canvas is the one that I used for my course project with Ashley and Andrew, and I really loved it. Edmodo is a really simple kind of platform that you can use, but it doesn't allow you to do everything. But again, one that I use on a regular basis. Here's some notes about Canvas, just the ability to import content created. You can share your content. You can publish your course and other people can access it. Here's a little comparison between Canvas and Google Classroom. This Gaphy, new term for me, I hope I'm saying it right. I didn't even know what that stood for until just a few weeks ago. So again, I'll have to explore the whole Google environment a bit more next year. More notes about the project. Seymour Papert, pioneer of educational technology. Way to go, Seymour, for getting all of this going. I wrote a whole list of tools that I want to explore, but have not yet had time to do. So those will be things, again, that I'll hopefully be tweeting about next fall when I'm done this master's. Crash Course, Vlogbrothers, ViHeart, one of Alex's favorites. All of these are different things that can be incorporated, video resources that can be brought into your classroom to, again, engage students, present content in a different way. I know that Andrew uses Crash Course a lot. I will explore that for my psych class next fall. Khan Academy, I've heard of it, haven't used it. Smartboard, I have one. I don't really use it properly, so I want to make better use of Smartboard, learn a little bit more about how to develop my own lessons. Windows Movie Maker, I tried to use that for this project. After a couple of hours, I gave up. Long story. So this is more presentation kind of opportunities that you can use. The green screen, some of the classmates used that. It was really cool. Alec used it one lesson. I haven't done it yet, but I will be heading to Dollarama for a green tablecloth next year for sure. I really like this idea of copy left instead of copy right. It does truly feel like we are becoming more open with resources, that everyone is starting to feel this way, that we benefit more from sharing and creating and collaborating than we do from harboring our own things that we create. So attribution, that's the very least you can ask, is just to give someone credit for what they did, what they made. No derivative work, so don't change it. Sometimes resources are not allowed to be used for profit or for commercial, so that's something to keep in mind when you're creating new artifacts. I did not try Camtasia or any of these tools. Adobe Spark, I explored it. Prezi, I tried to do that for this lesson as well, but I just couldn't get the notes to zoom in clearly. So again, one more thing for my list for next year just a few more notes about what we might think about for our projects. And this whole week's lesson, week 5, completely over my head. I did my best to take notes. It was all about video things, and I have never done anything in video. I don't even know how to convert videos or anything like that. So I made notes, but it didn't really stick with me. Chroma key, clip converter. I wrote all of them down in hopes of sometime using them. I did use TubeChop. It was excellent. I had a really long video. I only wanted the students to watch a bit of it. So I used TubeChop. That was great. Another option is the YouTube editor. In our project module, we talk about using the closed captioning that is available through YouTube. What a fantastic resource for students who are hearing impaired. It just gives them that ability to read the dialogue from the video. I haven't used anything to do with podcasts, Audacity, GarageBand, which I think is a Mac kind of resource, Apple resource. I'll have to try that because I've listened to podcasts and I've benefited from them, but I've never created one. Screencasting, that's what I'm doing right now. I haven't explored Powtoon yet, although I've watched classmates and what they've done. The same is true for VoiceThread and VideoScribe. Haven't used them, but I hope to. Week number 6, we talked again about resources that are available, just amazing educational technology tools. Tony Bates was a big part of this week. Also, Alec made a funny comment about hearing somewhere the statistic that the number of people you can really know is limited to 120. I thought that was very funny. I wrote it down. Edpuzzle, love it. I've used it. TouchCast, I tried it for this project. Did not work for me. I'll have to get some help with that one from a more techie colleague sometime. February 28th, week 7, we talked a lot about the course profile and what's expected of us for this. So I'm just going to fly through. One thing to note, though, always keeping in mind why we're choosing certain technology tools, certain platforms. That should be at the back of every educator's mind when they're introducing technology in the classroom. And more notes for the course module, but also just in general as a teacher. Time and place, what options do you want to consider for time and place? Synchronous, asynchronous, self-paced, instructor-paced, etc. Content delivery, is it going to be text-based, recorded lectures, webinars? Instructional style, which one will you choose? Course environment and space. Do you want a structured LMS? Do you want student-owned spaces? A really loose kind of pulled together course that you can use a bunch of small tools to bring together. All things that as an educational technology person, I want to try to keep those in mind whenever I'm developing a lesson. I love this from David Wiley. Why students go to university. Pretty soon, most of these things actually already are being met by lots of online learning and blended learning environments. So that's something to keep an eye on. We do like learning this way. Many of us like learning this way. I don't think I could learn strictly in an online environment. I like the social aspect of it way too much. These are some online learning environments I haven't tried, and just some different tools that could be introduced in the classroom. We tried Slack. I heard about Reddit. I understand there are some dangers in exposing students to this. Ask Me Anything might be a better option, but again, always with teachers guiding students because we need to protect them from some sensitive content that might be out there. More details on the project. TriCider, I loved this. We helped to develop the feedback guidelines that our classmates would be using on our modules. That was a really, really cool way to do that, and what a great tool. Here are my last notes about how to submit my profile and the prototype, and I think I've pretty much run out of time. This was an amazing course. Thank you so much to Alec and Katya. Thank you so much to the colleagues who kept bringing up amazing ideas and tools and resources. I'll end off with this critical point about online learning issues. There's always cultural concerns, accessibility concerns. Sometimes religion is a factor. We looked at that. Teachers just have to be cognizant of this and aware of their audience. Again, technology doesn't solve everything. it needs to be implemented with a great deal of thought. So I hope I've given you something to think about here. Thanks again for the great semester.